Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities Behind Black Business. And tonight we have another gem in our community here tonight, and Miss Shannon Wilson. And Shannon, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today.
And thank you so much, Miss Denise. I'm really honored and I'm just blessed. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Absolutely. And Shannon is a community activist, or I'll say a human rights activist, and a best-selling author. So we're going to talk to her about both of those areas tonight. Um,
Yes.
yeah, but before we get started, Shannon, I always want to let our audience know who Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities is and what we're all about. And we're a nonprofit organization, and we came together to make a difference in the community here in Chicago, our Black community here in Chicago. And we felt one of the best ways to do that is to enhance the awareness and support of Black-owned businesses. So, through this podcast, every Wednesday night, we feature a Black owned business. And we feel that the Black owned businesses are going to give back. They're going to hire people in the community. That helps to circulate the dollars. They will give other Black entrepreneurs an opportunity to have their products in their stores. And that helps to circulate the dollars. They're more likely to support um, Black causes. And if they live in the community, they're spending their dollars with other Black owned businesses. And so just working together is what we need to do. And this is what all the other ethnic groups are doing. And we have all these different communities. They say Chicago is one of the most segregated cities. Well, you have all of these different communities here in Chicago, and they're all circulating that dollar. And so we want people to know we have a lot of business people out here. We have a lot of Black authors out here. And I think some of it is just our people don't realize what we have out here. And what we do have, we want to give our people in the community an opportunity to know who these people are. So that's why we sponsored this podcast. Okay.
I love that.
And we, as I was telling you earlier, we are great proponents of our Black bookstores. And we do have a resurgence of Black bookstores here in Chicago. So if you go to our website at rrgbc.org, we have those bookstores listed. Some of them are brick and mortar, and some are online. And reading is important, and keeping control and dissemination of our history and our perspectives is very important. And that's why sustaining our Black bookstores is important. And so we feature a Black bookstore every month. Now, I do have to make a correction. We did not secure a winner for our book that we started last month, which was Lovable Races, Magical Negroes, and White Messiahs by David Ickert. And this is a book that was selected by Brother Yoel, who is at the Underground Bookstore, located 1727 East 87th Street, or you can go to theundergroundbookstore.com. I believe this is our oldest Black bookstore as of today. And he's been over there for almost 30 years. And he selected this book. And this is a very interesting book because it talks about how in this country they try to diminish our contributions. They try to diminish the oppression of Black people in this country. Matter of fact, I remember when they asked Biden during one of the elections if he supported reparations. And his response was, haven't you seen the commercials? Haven't you seen the interracial relationships? So, that was his way of saying, what are you talking about? We don't have a racial problem here.
It's out of tune, out of touch, for
Out of
sure.
tune, out of touch. And I believe, in all of our generations, we know this and we experience this. And so this book talks about that. And you can win this book as a subscriber. All you have to do is go to rrgbc.org and subscribe, and you can become a winner of this book. We pay for the book and we pay for the shipping to your address. All we ask is that you read the book, you share the knowledge, and if you like, you can share your book with other people. Some of you have book clubs out here. This would be a wonderful read for the book club. So this is one of the things that we do to try and help enhance the awareness and support of our Black businesses and our community at large. And then lastly, we do support our Black bank, the Southside Community Federal Credit Union, which is located at 55th and Wentworth in the shopping mall. They are a Black owned banking institution. They give financial literacy classes, car loans, mortgage loans, personal loans, and they've been working in the community to help Black people who might not otherwise be able to get loans and financial support at some of the other major banks which are plentiful in our community. So you would think that they would do more, but the Southside Community Federal Credit Union is definitely committed to the community. And in order for a bank to raise money, we have to create accounts. So please go to the Southside Community Federal Credit Union and open up an account. So let's get started here tonight talking to Shannon Wilson. Shannon is a community activist, a human rights activist, and where we met was definitely in sync with this part of Shannon. And then we know Shannon is also a best-selling author. So let's start by talking about the activist part, and maybe I'll back up a little bit here first, because what I really would like for you is to, as such a young person, getting involved, because when you become an activist, you got to be doing, and you're showing up at different events because you want to know what's going on. You want to contribute. You want to be a part of the change. And so tell us about who you are, Shannon. You have a home background, you have a neighborhood, you have a school that you went to, and just tell us who you are, where you've come from, and how you got involved in what you are doing today.
So, hey, everybody, my name is Shannon Wilson, and I am currently a student right now at Full Sail University for music production. I'm currently living in Flossmoor, Illinois, but I grew up in Hazel Crest, but born in Chicago. So I'm a South Side girl through and through still.
I would just say South Side.
Yeah,
Okay.
South Side. Yeah, through and through. We're a whole Chicago family. So, um, yeah, been living here all my life. Trying to think what else.
Yeah,
I've done quite a bit, but it's actually when I went out of state to um, a university in Indiana that my journey into activism began. I always had a passion for justice as a young girl. Um, I always hated seeing people being bullied. I always just hated that.
Mhm.
And I will always stand up, for them, whoever it was, because I was also bullied and I never wanted injustice to happen to anyone because of that as well. Um, and more than anything, because of God, knowing, Jesus in my life, and, how he has loved people, how he has rescued me and just been in my life. I want to see everybody doing well. So I've always had a passion for that. And from a young age, my parents instilled in me to be proud of being Black.
Mm-hmm.
As a child, you don't really know why they're telling you this, but
Mm-hmm.
then you begin to find out, as you go out and grow through the world. So, having that instilled within me, always had those values. So it's when I got to college, um, when Trayvon Martin was killed,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep for 3 days. It bothered me so much. And I was like, wow, like everybody's just walking around fine, and like you all don't care that this young man was killed like this. And so I would look for different ways to get involved, with different things. And actually, opportunities came to me because on my campus at Taylor University, there was a professor there who was fighting against the school because he was, unjustly treated at the school. He was the only African American professor. They had different Black, professors there, but he was the only African American. And so he noticed the discrepancies in how he was being treated versus, other people. And so, that was my first foray into helping to defend him. And then from there, when Mike Brown Jr. was killed. Um, Again, I could not sleep. Every time one of these events happened, it's like I couldn't sleep. And so I was watching the news every day. I was like, man, how do I get down there? How do I get down there? I ended up connecting with Black Lives Matter Chicago, and I ended up joining that organization for a period of about 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
from about 2014 to 2016,
What
thereabout.
was that like?
I'm sorry.
What was that like? Being in the
Being
Black
in Black
Lives
Lives Matter.
Matter? Uh-huh.
Oh, so there was a lot, a lot that happened. We went down to Ferguson, Missouri, and we essentially, were trying to advocate, with the family, getting in touch with everybody down there, supporting where we could, and yeah, they, of course, what you saw on TV, we were tear gassed and
Mm-hmm.
had guns pulled on us, all types of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was dramatic.
Okay.
But even going through those things, you're trying to maintain not only your own health and strength and everything like that, but also trying to help others around you. So there's like this weird conundrum that you're in as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I faced that as well, and it definitely had a lot of impact on me, positively and negatively. Going through that organization. Um, but yeah, so I was with them from 2014 to 2016, and I was with some other organizations during that time as well. And when I came back from Ferguson, the work that we began to do here in Chicago is we began to advocate more so for those who had died by gun violence
Mm-hmm.
by the police.
Okay.
Not that we didn't focus on those who had died by gun violence, just not by the police, but we did both. So we did some of both, but it was primarily those who had died by police. And so we ended up working with Martina Sutton, who his sister Rakia Boyd had died. We've worked with him. Miss Dorothy, her son Ronnie Mann, who had been killed by the police as well. Um, we were helping to bring awareness to these situations that should have never happened. They should still be here with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, we definitely were supporting them and just everything with that, um, because their voices weren't being heard, and their children, as I said, they should be here to this day, and their lives were stolen from them.
That's right.
So, um, we worked on very many things with that, and trying to think. There was so much, during that time. I'm trying to sometimes compile it into like a little soundbite, but
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm glad to fight against injustice. I'm glad to fight for my people. I love us, through and through, and I know that we will see justice, in so many things that we have been facing just as a people.
Mhm.
We're experiencing progress in some places, but not others. And as you said, we met in the reparations movement.
Yes.
I kind of transitioned out of that work that I was doing previously. It
Mhm.
did become a bit just taxing for me as well, emotionally, just spiritually, because you're dealing with people who died all the time. And then it began to consume me. And we kind of spoke about earlier being on social media as well. And
Sure.
you're constantly seeing people on your timeline, videos of police shootings. And I just had to take a step back.
Absolutely.
But the transition came. I was praying. I was like, God, I want to get back into activism. I need to be really working in my call and my purpose, because this is what I'm meant to do. Um, and so, he was leading me, to the scripture that I actually spoke about at the event. And in the book of Esther, it talked about how the Jews, they there pretty much was a decree that went out that the Jews were supposed to be killed and everybody could take all their stuff. Doesn't sound too far from what we've been going through as a people, right?
Sure.
And so he led me to that scripture, and I was like, wow, I've never read it like this. And so I began to realize, that this is where he was leading me to reparations. And in that story, um, the Jews, once the king reversed that decree, they could go and get everything back, everything that was stolen from them. And he said, don't kill them, give them everything back and more. And they wouldn't, they took their neighbor's stuff and their stuff back.
Mhm.
So, that's kind of what led me into that. And now, I'm at the meetings that they have online for the reparations commissions as well. But yeah, we got to go and get our check. We got to go and get our money. We got everything that belongs to us is coming back to us.
That's
So
right. That's right.
yeah,
Well,
that's
I think it's so powerful that someone so young, would be so concerned and willing to stand up and willing to fight and not be afraid, you know, and not be discouraged by what's happening. And it's almost like you can't because, like you
you
said,
can't.
how can you see all of this happening and not do anything?
Yeah,
You know,
you can't
and
at all.
one thing I know about even looking at the civil rights movement in the past, the majority of people did not get involved, but the people who did get involved, they made a difference.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hear your background because what I did hear that you had parents who taught you about who you are, who our people are. And so that's, I parents, I mean, I just don't think they realize the impact that they can have on their children.
Oh yeah.
Even the entrepreneurial, a lot of entrepreneurs that have come on here, their parents had businesses, and many of them just picked up the mantle and kept going with it. And so that's a good thing. And then even though you didn't grow up in Chicago, but you did grow up in Hazel Crest, and there are quite a few Black people in Hazel Crest. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
predominantly Black and Latino in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So, and I went to all the schools there and up until I want to say seventh and eighth grade.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to a Lutheran school then, but yeah, primarily it's pretty much Black and Latino in
Mm-hmm.
there. Yeah.
Right, right. And this is not this whole racism piece is not something that we can run from.
Right.
Where you go, there it is. And so it's something that has to be dealt with, you
Yeah.
know. And so that's a very commendable to you that you are willing to stand up for that as a community activist. And we're talking to Shannon Wilson, who is a community activist, and she's also a best-selling author. We're getting to know Shannon here, and I know if we go to your website, would you give us your website?
So it is payhip.com/ the Sunset Sailor.
Okay, so if you go to her website and then you have this commentary about who you are, who Shannon is, and I looked at all of these lists of um, expressions that you use to describe yourself, and I know you came out and you definitely indicated your belief in God, and that was at the top, that you're God's child. And then you indicated you were an entrepreneur. That was number one. And so I'm going to go through some of these, and I want to talk about it a little bit with you because you're saying this is who I am.
Yeah.
And so, absolutely. And so then you mentioned that you're an entrepreneur. So how did you get into becoming an entrepreneur? And what are you doing as an entrepreneur?
So it goes back again to my childhood. We didn't always have much, um, and seeing poverty, and then then you're kind of getting jobs here and there, but still not being able to have. You never feel like you have enough at times. Um, that's kind of what led me to that. And even from a little girl, I always liked the fact of being a boss. Like that just really like did
Mm-hmm.
something to me. Like, and I was always like a very bossy child and a leader.
Okay. Telling everybody what to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was. But you know what? I'm the oldest of my siblings too, so I'm kind of thrust into that position as
Okay.
well. So I was always doing that, but I liked it. I liked being the one in charge, and
Hmm.
yeah, I'm a boss. Like,
Okay. Okay.
you know, but society doesn't always reward you for that. They say you're too loud, you're too bossy, all of these things.
Hmm.
But you can, as if you have children that are like that, you can feed into that and help them cultivate the gifts that they have, you
Absolutely.
know,
Hmm.
because it's not necessarily bad, you
Sure.
know. It's
Sure.
innovative. You have an innovative spirit. We have to look at it a different way, you
Hmm.
know. So going from that, I started to look into like what is business, how to do, because no one in my family had any type of business or anything like that. But I wanted to have my own money, my own income, just all of these things, because we were facing so much in the way of, poverty and just all of these things. Um, and so that's where it began. And the first it was hard at first. Like I was like, man, how do you do this? Like, it was so hard. Like I wanted to give up. And at that time I was very like depressed. I was suicidal, all of those things. Like I was like, man, like it's bad. But through that, I felt that God was leading me to create businesses and to be, going in that vein. And sometimes you don't learn things until you're in the fire. Like things
Sure.
won't always be perfect in your life,
Yeah.
but you learn it in the fire. So I was learning it like while I was going through that situation. And that year that I launched like three side business side hustles like in 1 year.
What type of businesses were they?
So one was the first ever one that I did was like for artists and things like that. And I was selling like t-shirts and things of that nature. And
Hmm.
then the second one I did was like an affiliate thing where I would like sign people up for DoorDash, Uber, stuff like that. And then what was the third one? The third one I made that year was a hair business, and I actually did that in 30 days. Um, because another strange story, I'm not a regular person, so I just gotta let you know that. But
Okay.
strange thing that happened was I was actually praying for people on a back when Periscope was around, and this lady, she said, "Hey, have you ever thought of doing a hair business?" And I was like, no, I haven't. And she was like, well, I think God wants you to do that. So I was like, okay, well, let me try it. And I was like, well, God, if you want to do this, let me learn this really fast. And I learned it in 30 days. I created the business in 30 days. Like everything was in 30 days. And I launched.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up getting sick, at the beginning of COVID. I didn't have COVID, but I had something else.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I was going through that, but it was a testament to, I can do this. I can create businesses. Gaining the knowledge. Even through my failures, I've learned like so much. And
Okay.
now I'm able to like teach people, how to really do it, and that creating a business doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take like long, you
Sure.
know. So I learned things from that. And then from there, I started one with my sister, and we had some rentals. Or we had, sorry, not some rentals, a rental down in Texas, and we did that.
Oh my
And
goodness, you were on a roll.
I'm telling you, like, once you get, because this is purpose, like,
Sure.
even though, I don't have those business anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff failed, stuff got messed up. I didn't know how to manage things. But through that, I
You learn,
learned from my mistakes.
you learn from your mistakes.
And so
Absolutely.
now I'm really starting over with everything with my book. Um, and I think people need to know that, which is why I'm transparent about my failures, because life's not always going to be a cakewalk. It's not always going to be pretty,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll go through things, you know, um, you'll start that thing on faith, and you'll do all this work, and then it could blow up in your face. You never know. So, but with this book, um, I literally, it's really a huge blessing, because as I said, with my failures with the businesses and stuff like that, I was literally a problem. Couldn't, and he's still getting me back up to where I need to be,
Mm-hmm.
but literally was like, God, like, what is going on with my money, this and that, like, what is this? Like,
And
and
your
I,
your 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 parents were very supportive of you through all of
yes,
this.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, they are. Yes, they are. I can say, my parents are just there for me. Like, I'm grateful for them. I'm so grateful for them, you know, um, through all of this, through the
Okay.
ups and downs, they're going to be there, you know, and some people can't say that. And I'm grateful too. I am. Um, but so with, even that, when this book came out as well, my parents, they were the first ones to buy. They were first ones to help me promote it and everything like that, and just believing in that dream. And that's so important for your child, to know that um, you're backing them
Okay.
and that you support their dream. So I
So
definitely
the
want to give
book,
them
the
honor with
book
that.
that you're speaking of is one that you've authored,
Yes,
Black Girls in Space. This is what
yes,
we're talking about. This is a
yes.
beautiful illustrated coloring book.
Thank you, thank you.
And so you can tell us about this book and what inspired you to write this book, to produce this book, and the impact that you want this book to have.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So um, going going back a little bit, my when I was talking about, like, my money situation and everything, having like poverty and stuff like that. I had lost my job last February, and we had lost the business. We had to close that down. And through that, I was just really like, my life, what is going on with it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I didn't really have income, and I was sick as well during all these times that I'm talking about. I had like fibroid issues. I would have bleeding issues, all of that. So I was going through on multiple fronts, and so um, through that time when my back was against the wall, I was learning, and I was learning about AI, and I was learning about trading, really just trying to build myself up in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend's mother, she actually prophesied to me and was like, God wants you to write a book. I was like, okay, about what? And then my friend, I think he might be on here. I don't know. But he's a prophet too. And he was like, yeah, God wants you to write a book and it's going to be successful. And I was like, okay. Because I was seeing so much failure that I'm like, okay. But literally, when I was making this book, it was very tough. I was going through a lot of stuff, trying to get the book out. Amazon KDP, if you produce the book, you know that Amazon KDP has like all these errors. And then you're like, oh, well, how do you fix it? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
God, look, if you want me to do this, because I was going through this for months.
Mm-hmm.
Do this, look, I need some help. Like, and literally, right after I prayed that prayer, I found this group. And this lady, she said, oh, all you have to do is fix this. And it took 5 minutes, what I've been working on for months.
Mm-hmm.
And because literally I created 3 books in that 1 month.
Okay.
Because my sister, she showed me more about the AI and everything like that. She showed me, because me and her are both creative. She's a prophetic artist. She paints and she draws and all of that. And I'm more so of, I'm a creative. I put things together. I can make it look real nice and good and everything.
Okay.
Um, so I end up, finally being able to produce my book. And let me tell you about poetic justice. I produced this book, and Amazon finally accepted it after all the rejections. It finally accepted it on February 1st,
Um.
Black History Month. And our history. Our ancestors couldn't pick up a book, let alone read one. And
Sure.
for me to produce 3 and be able to put this out was just like, it was amazing. It was historic for me, for my family. Um, and it inspired, others in my family as well, like my mother. She's working on hers now, her coloring book. Um,
So now
and
all three of your books coloring books?
so yes, but I have more on the queue. I have actually children's books as well that are written. Like I have an ABC book, and
Okay.
then I'm currently writing a book about destiny. And our footsteps to destiny, how we have to arise in our time. Um, and start taking those footsteps to destiny, even though we may not see the entire staircase.
Okay.
So those are in the works to come out. But my 3 books, they're already done. I just have to do some few things and then I'll put them out. But for the one I'm focused on right now is Black Girls in Space, and it's actually a series. I have Black Girls in Space 1, 2, Black Boys in Space, Black Kids in Space. It's all coming in the works.
All coloring books.
Yeah,
These are
these are
all
coloring
coloring
books.
books. Okay.
Yes, with
Yes.
comics in them.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And your other books that you have written, is what's so beautiful about your story or your journey. I'm going to say your journey
Yeah,
is that you go through all these challenges and you learn from those challenges, and then now you're even writing books to try to help other people, to understand, what it's like, because a lot of people will give up, when things become difficult or feel I'm
yeah,
not supposed to do this.
yeah.
But you're not a quitter. That's what I'm hearing, in your story.
I've tried because you know what? I think And I learned this, Miss Denise, I learned this in a course that I took from Cornell University. It was free. And you could probably look it up for your viewers. It's for women entrepreneurs and it's free. Wonderful program. Um, there was a piece in that course and they talked about resilience. And I thought, I
Mhm.
don't need this one. But that was the one that had the most value for me
Okay.
because she talked about resilience being um, built, not something you're necessarily just born with.
Okay.
Those who have resilience choose to get back up again,
That's right.
whereas other people quit at that point of where it could be defeat or victory. So it's choosing. And that gave me the perspective of, wow, you know what? If I choose to keep going, if I just choose to keep
Mm-hmm.
going,
Mm-hmm.
I can reach that. It doesn't matter all this stuff I'm seeing because I know God's going to carry me through. And so that's the perspective I have to go forward with because if you give up on life, that's it, you know? You can't just lay down and die. And there's been times, Ms. Denise, when I have wanted to lay down and die. I have faced the same temptations we all go through
That's right.
to want to give up. But it's that choice of saying, you know what? No, I'm going to choose to try again. And this book was my choosing to try again
Fine again.
because it's like 50 times I almost gave up, Mr. Denise. I was throwing
Oh
my
my
computer
goodness.
against the wall.
What a beautiful story. Family, we're talking with Shannon Wilson. She is a young lady. She is a young activist. She is a young author. And she's telling her story about her journey into becoming all the things that she has become and what's in it for the future, we just don't know. But when you talk about your resilience, this is what we have had to be as a people.
As a
You
people,
know, from where when you look at where we have come from, you know,
yes,
and it's a constant battle. It's a
constant.
constant battle, and we're in a constant battle now. But the point is to not give up,
That's right.
to not
That's
give up. And this is, like I said, this is a beautiful a book, Black Girls in Space. You can see this. It's a beautiful illustration here. And coloring, I thought about why did she choose coloring books?
yeah.
I would like your response to that. Why did you
Yeah.
a coloring book?
So again, going back to my journey a little bit, it was my prayer. I was like, God, what is a black woman's story? Because we don't see things from the perspective of black women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a little girl, sometimes I wanted to be white because that's pushed to you those images. And an image is important. What you see is what you essentially will believe that you can be or that you are that helps shape your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing that it's like, oh, I want to have this type of hair, this type of hair, this, you know, and not having you know, you have to have your identity and that's important. So
Mm-hmm.
images are a part of that. We have to see black women and girls and we have to see us for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
with positive images, positive representation. So that is a thought that went through my mind because even as a little girl, that's something that I needed to see. And I know that girls coming up are still going to need to see. That's going to always be a need. And plus, coloring books are fun, they're therapeutic. I wrote a poem to Black women and girls. It's essentially my love letter in art form to Black women and girls because we need it. We
Mm-hmm.
need it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
yeah, that's why I
when
did
I
that.
think about, as you said, coloring can be therapeutic,
Yeah,
and it can be used to address anxiety and depression,
yeah,
and also create a level of mindfulness. Because when you're coloring,
yeah,
there's no mistake, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is perfect because it's about what you choose to put in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also developing your ability to focus because you're in this picture that you got this realm and you choosing these colors, and it's almost like meditation. With meditation, one
Mm-hmm.
one of the problems is getting rid of all of the noise, in your
Mm-hmm.
in your mind, all these different thoughts. And so
Yeah.
it helps you to focus. And so focusing on our image and what kind of image I want to create, you
Yeah.
know, that's going to be a reflection of me,
Of me.
who I
Yes.
feel I am. And it gives that opportunity to do that in this particular book. And it
Yeah.
just made me go further and think about some other things. When I was a little girl, my mother used to work at a catalog company called Spiegel's.
Mm-hmm.
And Spiegel's, you get the book was this big, and
Oh my.
and you could buy anything in your house was in that you needed was in the Spiegel catalog. Any kind
Mm.
of clothes that you needed was in the Spiegel catalog. So as a little girl, I would go through this catalog, and I was, they had some black models in there, men, a couple of black men in there, a couple black women, and maybe one or two black kids. I create my little family just in my mind, and I'd go through
Mm-hmm.
different areas of the catalog and say, this is what kind of couch I'm gonna have, and this is what kind of furniture, I'm having
Yeah.
the whole thing. I'd be sit there for hours and do that. And it just made me think about, how powerful that was and how powerful this coloring book can be. And I thought about other things, if we're looking at businesses, if we had pictures, if you had coloring books, and the children could go in there and color, the black businesses, no matter what kind of business it is. It could be a restaurant, it could be a barbershop, it could be a bank, black bank. You got a black teller in there, and
Mm-hmm.
just all these things, all these kind of ideas. And I always, for some reason, recently I've been thinking about black cars. Why? How come we don't have a car? And then someone told me that there was a company. What was it called? Greenfield Patterson. It was the Patterson Greenfield Auto, and
Mm.
this was back in 1893 to 1939. These black people. This was in Greenfield, Ohio. They started building carriages, and this man, Mr. Patterson, went into business with a Caucasian, and
Mm-hmm.
then he bought him out. The black man, Mr. Patterson, bought this Caucasian out, and when his son came into the business, he started to build cars. And there was the Patterson Greenfield car. It was a coupe, a two-seater, and white people were buying it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started designing and building trucks and buses. I didn't know this. And
Right.
if we had picture like that, and our children could be coloring that and learning about that. I'm just trying to put some things on your mind, girl. Because this is where my head went when I was looking at this book.
But that's the point of it for you to dream,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of times, and even as adults, right? We're so focused on so many other things, sometimes we forget our dreams. You know, we forget those things that we were as a child or we wanted as a child. And being able to take a break from that and to dream again,
That's right.
go back, to that. Because that's when we were happiest. That's what made you happy, you know? And Miss Denise, you got some good ideas. I could and I'm going to be actually teaching kids how to create their coloring books with AI. But if you want to learn too, you got some great ideas, I can show you how to do it. So yeah,
That
create some income for you too,
is, yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean, there's just so much that we could do with that. And like you
it
said,
is.
dreaming and imagining is very important. So when they
Yeah.
took, I don't know how much it impacted your schools out there in Hazel Crest where you were living, but here in Chicago, when they took art and music out of the schools, that was cruel to do that, because that's where the students can go, and where you can dream, and where you can imagine, and whatever you create
Yeah,
is fine. It's beautiful.
it is.
And
It is.
they took that away. They took it out. Now our new mayor is putting it back in. But look at all of the years and all of the decades that it
Yeah,
was not there.
yeah. And it should have never been done. Um, excuse me. As I talked about earlier, being able to dream. And I think at times in the public school system, it breaks down that ability as
Mhm.
well. It's not encouraged.
That's
At
right.
least, in black and brown neighborhoods, it's not encouraged.
And
You
we
know,
feel that this was by design. We don't feel like it just happened.
I'm telling
There was some intentionality there. Another battle that we have to face.
the kids, really have been neglected and forgot about, and me growing up through the school systems, it was just like sometimes being in a zoo, you had fights every day. This isn't conducive to your learning, to
Mhm.
your well-being, just as a person, period.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to come to school and see fights every day and have
Mhm.
to fight off people every day. There was sometimes I had to fight every single day,
Mhm.
in sixth grade. Like, nobody wants to go to school for that, and so, but when I would have my music classes when I went to college,
Mhm.
um sorry, not college, high school. I went to Hillcrest High School. That was therapeutic for me. I learned how to play saxophone. We were learning how to read music, and it's just it's a better environment. You know, it's
Absolutely.
just good for the soul. Like music, my uncle said, music calms the savage beast inside.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it's had a lot of influence, on people. You know,
Yeah,
I grew up in an era where there was a lot of music about the movement, but there was also a lot of music about love,
right.
men and women loving each other, as opposed to the contrary of that, which is what we have heard a lot in the rap music that is
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So now also, I went on your website and I saw that you have greeting cards.
Yes, yes.
So tell us about your greeting cards.
Yes. So I just like to do those, because it with me, I'm like I have my inner kid. I really like to just make things that are cute, that are fun, that are heartwarming for people. And I thought of greeting cards too as, just another way for people to share love,
Hmm.
with each other. I have like, and plus, too, with Black representation, we don't really see ourselves on many, greeting cards. So I'm really trying to create what I want to see, what I want the world to be like, with those, and to spread love and to spread joy. Because if you look out into the world now, it's a lot of people, they need love, they need joy, they need that peace, and peace, love, joy, you can't buy that.
That's
You
right.
can't.
That's right.
But if I can, in some way, produce things or, love on people in different ways, then hey, that's what I want to do. So yeah, that's kind of what my thought is going into that as well.
Now, one I saw that I was not familiar with. I saw that you had one. I love you forever. I saw that greeting card, and I saw your Valentine's card, and then I saw Galentine.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that's already out here? Because I was like, Galentine, what is that? I had to go look it up, because I'm like, I think I missed this one. Tell
It's Valentine's for the
our
girls, your friends,
yeah, yeah, your girlfriend card.
Yeah,
Man,
kind of like that.
yeah,
And so that's what I kind of went into that was like, just sisterhood, um, and us just share love to each other, hey, You got Valentine's Day, you have Galentine's Day. I heard about it like a few years ago because I would see like girls like doing dinners with all their friends. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I need to get into this. Like, so yeah,
So
Galentine's Day.
did you come up with this, or this is already was out here? Galentine.
No, no, no. I don't know who created Galentine's, but I'm here for it.
I was like, Galentine. Wow, what is that? But that's a great idea because we support each other. You know, I mean, have good relationships, you know, with your girlfriends. You know, there's some guys that I can talk to a lot, but you know, some of the relationships and long-term relationships you have with your girlfriends through all of your ups and downs and your
Mhm.
relationships and what you're going through with your parents and your siblings and your boyfriend and your husband, you know, your work and you know, your children. You got your girlfriends there that you can talk to, that they got
Yeah,
you back, you know, and that means a lot.
yeah, yeah. And
You
that's what we need. We need that, you know,
right.
somebody you can relate to, you know, just about all your stuff and your secrets, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, somebody you can talk to and tell them things, and they're not gonna tell everybody, you know, about it.
Now, some people do be do have water mouth, but diarrhea of the mouth.
Somebody told me once, if you don't want somebody to know something, don't tell nobody.
Right.
They're gonna say, "Girl, don't tell," but blah 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 blah. There it goes. Right?
We all have that one friend that don't tell them nothing. Don't tell them nothing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to spend our last few minutes. We met at the it was called the African Descent Citizens Reparations Commission.
Which they need to change the name of that.
Okay, so you can comment on that. Well, why do you think they need to change the name?
Well, it's not indicative of who we are as a people who the original conversation of reparations is centered around.
Hmm.
Reparations originally started for the American descendants of slaves or the freedmen rather.
Hmm.
And you know, African descendants like, okay, is that it for everybody?
Hmm.
Which, you know, don't get me wrong, I do believe that like other, you know, black people from different countries, they deserve their reparations, no doubt. But here specifically for, you know, the American descendants of slaves, the freedmen, um, never got their dues, never got their payment, never got it. You know, and so we, you know, now that they're dead and gone, we who are now have to be their voice. You know, we have to come and we have to, you know, fight for reparations of what they were owed and what we have been owed, those who are living that have still gone through the traumas of systemic racism and, you know, the after effects of slavery. Because
Yeah.
even with that, you know, and you and me talked about, you know, the wealth piece and the financial piece. Um, Debt also compounds
Hmm.
and accrues,
That's
you
right.
know, just like wealth can, right? And so we've had a lot of debt in the Black community. We've had so much debt where others have been able to build unimpeded in their journey to wealth,
Hmm.
right? Which everyone should be able to do.
That's right.
But we have been constantly having the what is it called? Something kicked out from under you, and we've had to
Yep.
constantly
It's
rebuild over and over again.
sabotage.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Every time.
yeah.
And so, what was your take? Because this is a state. This is at the state level where we had this meeting last Saturday at Kennedy King. We have had the local reparations at the city level, which I had gone to a meeting at Malcolm X. And so now we have this commission at the state level. And so what is your take on that?
So I do believe that it has its place. Um, of course, the federal government is going to have to really fund. all of this,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe that it's good that we're focusing on different states because there are specific things that happened in our state, within the city of Chicago alone, the redlining and things of that nature, which we need justice for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do believe that it has its place, and I do believe, that this work will yield something. But at the end of the day, I do believe that, federally, there has to be something that happens there as well.
Okay, because based on Dr. Darity's readings and then your Friedman group that was there and the research that's been done to indicate you look at people who have received reparations, the Jews, the Chinese, other people that have received reparations. It did come from the federal government because they're the ones who have the ability to create money and to fund this because we understand it's in the cash debt is in the trillions of dollars. Um, and then at the same time, um, that's that's what not only we need to be thinking about in terms of that, but then also the economic piece and us having a vision of building communities and what
Right.
those communities look like. What do those communities need to sustain, and not something that somebody's going to be able to come in and sabotage because this is what happens to everything that we try to build and we try to create. Somebody comes in and takes it, or like in the book that we're giving away for this month, um, the let me get this right, the Lovable Racist Magical Negroes and White Messiahs by David Ickert. In this book, it talked about how they diminish, you know, what's actually happening. You know, it's just like somebody's got stepping on your foot real hard and hard and harder and telling you, oh, I'm not stepping on your foot, or oh, you just making a big deal out of nothing. I mean, this is just
My
kind of how.
phone's about to die, Miss Denise. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no, but that's okay. We're going to end this. I want you to tell us where we can get your book again, where we can get your greeting cards. Tell us where we can go.
Payhip.com/The Sunset Sailor. And I also have my book on Amazon.
Also on Amazon. And your
And it
book.
died. Oh
Okay.
my.
Okay.
Oh my phone.
All right. So that was our guest, Shannon Wilson. She is a phenomenal young lady. She is an author. She is a community activist, and she shared her journey with us tonight. And one of the things we can take from that is resilience, how we must be resilient as a people, and we have been. And so I want to thank her for coming on and sharing her story, Shannon. And please look at her book. It's a beautiful coloring book, and she has beautiful greeting cards. And you go to her website, she has other books that she has written. And we're hoping to get some of her material in some of our Black bookstores here in Chicago. That's something that we're working on. So please go to rrgbc.org and subscribe. You can also go to our website and you can make donations there and to support what we're doing. And we ask that you get involved. We have so many organizations out here that are fighting to address equity in our communities. We have organizations that are out here fighting to address reparations for Black people in this country. We have organizations out here that are fighting for resources for our children. That's what we really need to be thinking about, our future, and what do we want the Black communities to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now? What do we want our Black communities to look like? That's what we need to be thinking. And we all have a role that we can play and take a message from our young person that was here tonight, we have to be resilient. Don't give up. And we have to care. And so I want to thank you for coming tonight. And Shannon Wilson, I want to thank you for coming tonight. And everybody, stay safe.